r/Askreddit, trolling law enforcement. What's your story? College town, huge party. Excise cops are in town busting parties left and right. Ours gets busted. They proceed handing out tickets to underage drinkers. One kid gets a scrap piece of paper and folds it into the shape of the tickets the cops are handing out and sits on the front steps with his head in hands repeating, "My parents are gonna kill me." Cops just pass him right by. I was speeding once, and I mean seriously speeding. I saw the lights come up behind me and freaked. I pulled over and noticed I had a bottle of water next to me. Took it and poured it all over my lap and put on the most embarrassed look I could. He asked if he knew why he pulled me, and I responded, "I'm sorry officer, I really had to pee," and was trying to get to the nearest restroom. But, innocent eyes, I peed myself. Something in me knew that this cop did not want me to touch his pen, his paper, didn't want to touch my license, nothing. As far as he was concerned, I was just disgusting. He said, "Well, next time, use the bathroom before you leave, and slow it down, and let me go." I've never actually done this, but always wanted to. Get 5 total friends together all wearing costumes. Dress up as a biker, construction worker, Indian, cowboy, and a GI, soldier. Then go to a public place where the police walk around and just follow the cop around. After being pulled over to the side of a 2-lane highway for speeding. "Officer, why were you in such a rush?" Me, "Just keeping up with traffic, sir." "Officer, there's no one in front of you." Me, "Cheeky grin goes to show you how fast traffic is moving today. I got a ticket." When I was 16 or 17 I would mow lawns for extra cash in the summer. One day I was driving back from mowing a smaller lawn. I had carried the push mower there in the trunk of my car, but had left it there because I was mowing their neighbor's yard the next day. On my way home I got pulled over by a sheriff for going a little too fast, and he asked me if I had anything in the car he needed to know about. I told him, with a smile, that I had some grass in the trunk. He pulled me out of my car, slapped cuffs on me, and opened the trunk to see some dried grass clippings from the mower. He was rather irritated. Friend of mine at a different high school found out that there was to be a drug dog sniffing lockers at his school. So him and a bunch of his friends all left bacon sandwiches in their lockers on the day it was coming. I walked over to a police van, drunk, knocked on their window, and once they opened it I, with a very serious and informative look, said, "Excuse me sir, your window is open." Then I walked back to my friends. The police came after me and took me to the police station, but let's not get into that. Steve Wozniak gets uncut sheets of $2 bills from the US Mint and has them folded into a sort of book, and when he goes to pay in public places he pulls out this money knotted and proceeds to cut the appropriate amount of money to pay the cashier. He supposedly had the police called on him a few times. I like to look at cops in their cars and then run off at full speed for no apparent reason. There's a bike path where I live at has a posted 15 miles per hour speed limit for cyclists. One time a slightly overweight policeman actually sat on the trail with a radar gun and caught me going well over the limit. I managed to maneuver past him on the trail and he immediately mounted his mountain bike and began chasing me. Because I was riding a road bike and was in much better shape than him, there was no chance of him catching me. I actually toyed with him a little, letting him catch up a little every now and then. On 4/20 this year, the cops were out all over campus. I was going to a friend's house to get royally fucked up, and 2 cops pulled out in front of me, causing me to almost hit them. They proceeded to race each other down the road for a while. They both go to get into a turning lane at the same time, and one cop hits the other. They stopped after putting on their lights and got out to check the damage. I pulled up next to them, rolled down my window, and asked, "Are you guys okay?" After they said that they were fine, I put on my best troll face and continued, "Do you need me to call the cops?" and sped off as the light turned green. They just glared at me until I was out of their view. There was a speed trap where I grew up on PA Route 74. One of the markers, since it was a Vasca trap, was a white plastic jug. I often stopped along that route when I saw the jug there, grabbed the jug, and drove off. I got stopped once doing this. The cop seemed really angry. I told him I see that thing there all the time, and it bothers me that nobody has bothered to pick up that trash. Got arrested after walking out of a bar when I was 18 with a 6-pack. Cops said the only way I wouldn't be charged was if I would walk back in the bar in a couple weeks with a recording device and buy another 6-pack, probably putting the bar out of business. I agreed. Walked into the bar, asked for a 6-pack, and when the bartender looked me in the eyes I just shook my head at him and mouthed no. He eyed me, told me to get out. Cops get nothing. I didn't get charged. A story my childhood likes to tell is from when he was in dental school at USC in the 70s. The street right next to the building with the dental labs is a really long block, so a lot of people just cross in the middle of the street instead of going to a street light. There used to be a cop who would write a lot of jaywalking tickets to people who would do that. My dad and his friends would make giant water balloon launchers using surgical tubing and would launch water balloons they made from dental gloves at the cop. Once, he saw where they were launching from, but he couldn't get into the building because he didn't have the proper security codes. Around 2 AM on a Saturday night I was pulled over for suspicion of drinking while intoxicated. I hadn't had a drop. They asked me to step out of the car and gave me a sobriety test. I passed with flying colors. They asked me if they could search the vehicle. I told them they could search the vehicle with the sole exception of the center console. They would need a warrant for that. After several hours sitting roadside, they finally produced a warrant from a judge. The center console was empty. I refuted a police noise complaint with a decibel meter and a printout of the Boston Municipal Code on Noise Ordinance. Do you know what are easy ways to troll cops? This is coming from someone who worked law enforcement. Drive like 2 to 4 miles per hour under the speed limit on a 1-lane road with a cop behind you. Most cops are lead-footed and will hate this. Eye the hell out of them. Especially if they are rookie cops. They are generally not so sure of their authority yet and get nervous thinking they are doing something wrong. I'm from Arizona, where the police like to bust into people's homes for no reason, use unnecessary force when dealing with anyone, and basically just run around like they own the place because it's a horrific police state. But I moved to Portland and was at a house party once. The house party was huge, like 300-ish people, all smoking blunts and drinking more than necessary. The party got too big to be indoors so it kind of spilled into the street. So there are a ton of loud wasted people running around acting like 4-year-olds, and the police show up. Everyone freezes. Dead silence while the 4 cops walk around, looking bemused. One of the cops finds the guy who threw the party and we all watch in horror as the cop approaches this stoned and wasted man. He approaches him and says, "Hey, we were just driving by and wanted to stop by to see if you guys wanted some free stuff." Cue instant WTH. The cops took these huge boxes out of the trunks, filled with little things like pencils, bike lights, plastic little badges, kid stuff. They handed it all out, and we all got free stuff, and while they were there they discussed how to get home safely, be it by foot or car. It all went far better than expected, and after they left we all played with the pencils and little erasers for a good hour, having mini lightsaber battles. Added bonus, we all got some education on how to get home safely, and some other random facts about what police do, and how they operate, information that I find useful every once in a while.